Hey, everybody, welcome to What Drives Us episode. I'm looking at the wrong camera.
Awesome.
You're down here. I'm looking up there. Hey, everybody, welcome to What Drives Us episode 488 for Wednesday, March 1st. What?
We're pros.
Oh, yeah, we are.
We are pros at this.
We've been doing this for 13 years.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm still really, really good at it. Trust me.
Awesome.
My name is Russell Frost. I have the good fortune to be your host. I have personally gathered this amazing panel to comment on the news and bring us news stories. So let me introduce them so we can get this show on the road. My friend in Northern California, where I don't know, maybe she's 6 feet under snow. Maybe there's a flood. Weather in California has been interesting for the last week. Her name is Georgia McKenzie.
I've been enjoying the final break in the clouds where there was sunshine and it looked gorgeous until you went outside and realized that it is 50 degrees and with the wind chill, it is 48 degrees. And these people are out here wearing booty shorts and flip-flops. Obviously, I'm wrong. Wearing multiple layers and wrapped up in a coat because I looked crazy to everybody else, I guess.
Well, when you're out hunting, you got to keep it up. Doesn't matter if it's cold out. You got to look pretty.
I guess so. But yeah, no snow here, thanks. Knock on cheap plastic furniture.
Something. knock on a solar panel. There Basically. We go. Well, next to her on my screen, at least, is my friend of the Mid-Atlantic region, Mr. Supercharger Casey Green.
Back in the Southeast, this is an extended stay hotel. And every time I open the door and go out to the car, it looks like there was a building demo right next to it because the pollen. The pollen is just ridiculous.
Ow.
But I've almost made it back to my house. One more stop. Hopefully only one more stop.
Hopefully. Well, of course, safe travels, Casey.
Thank you.
Our friend in the Great White North, he is the founder and host of the Tesla Life Show. A big day. And Mark, at some point, you can just expect I'm gonna, even though it's not on the news schedule, I'm gonna bring up Investor Day. Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Yes, indeed. It was Investor Day. Lots and lots and lots of news. But we've got our own palette of news here. So let's get to it.
Yes, sir, we will. Thank you so much. And last and certainly not least, he is the owner and founder of Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado. If you have a hybrid or an electric vehicle on the front range, he is the man you need to know, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hey, glad to be back, and let's get the show on the road.
And let me start the show on a really happy, positive note. That's sarcasm. And I don't know. Forgive me. I'm not going to wreck Zach's last name. Zach, you know who you are. Zach has been a follower of What Drives Us and the Tesla Life for years. He has supported the show as well. Way back in the day, thank you, Mark Coughlin reminded me that we did. I remember doing the video. I just didn't remember what it was about. Tony Schaefer and him did some video from Zach's Tesla. And we certainly appreciated that Zach reaching out to us for that. Here's the thing that, like, after a couple of years of trolling and abuse that I'm going to address, Zach, fuck off. I don't need you. I don't. And I get that you're a deeply, deeply faithful Tesla fan guy, and good for you. Nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to homophobic slurs on Twitter, I'm going to say, fuck off. How's that? I just don't need your bullshit. I'm not going to block you. You can comment. You can say whatever you want. That's fine. But it just, like, I just don't understand the context where, like, I don't say something supportive of enough of Zach's favorite company, and he would come at me with that kind of garbage. I get being upset. I get, wow, Russell's out of touch. Okay. Hey, people have said that to me, and you know what? Sometimes I am. But I'm not out of touch when it comes to not being a big enough Tesla fanboy. And if that upsets you, Zach, piss off. I'm sure there's lots of shows. In fact, you should watch the Tesla Life every week if you're not already, and support them, because that's an excellent show, and they're going to have content curated specifically for you. And I'm going to broaden this out now just at the end here to make it positive and inclusive. If you think that homophobic slurs are funny or cute or demeaning, alleging that I have a boyfriend, it doesn't bother me a bit, but I can call it out for what it is. It's bullshit. If you think that's cool, hey, guess what? You don't need to be a viewer of the show. There's lots of good shows out there. You should watch Joe Rogan. I hear it's a macho, toxic fest every week, and probably makes all your little tingly bits stand up. So that's it. That's all I got. Sort of using Showtime for a personal message. Forgive me, regular, normal, happy, positive listeners, because yeah, that's kind of, we're going to start on a down note. We're going to build towards a good note. So let's go to our first news story. It is with Mr. Paul Guzik, who has a story about a car that has gotten me in no end of trouble. Mr. Guzik.
Yeah, so I'm not sure when it's exactly going to be real, but it's real close, I believe. The Toyota is now publicly talking about their Corolla Cross Hybrid, which I remember a couple of years ago, Russell, didn't you go test drive the Corolla Cross? And you're like, what the F? How come there's no hybrid announced? They were listening to you, or they just took their time to get it to market?
3 years late? 2 years late? He drove that thing a long time
Well,
ago.
no, the Corolla Cross was around, but just
Right,
not the hybrid.
That part.
Right.
First thing he said was, where's the freaking hybrid?
Yeah.
So it was at one of Toyota's omnibus events
Right.
in at their headquarters in Plano, Texas. News conference, hundreds of reporters. Someone hands me a mic. Oh,
Oops.
and the first thing I
They never
say,
met you before.
yeah, someone who didn't know me. No one who knew me was like rushing over. Well, let's get Russell's thoughts on this. After the whole thing, I'm like, okay, hey, this is great. This is cool. But why are you introducing this as a gas-only car? Why isn't this a hybrid? You introduced the when you brought back out the Venza, you brought it back out as a hybrid only. Yay, good job. And I said, this is disappointing from you guys, because you should be better than this. And the response that I got was, well, didn't you see that last frame with the little blue Toyota logo? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And I'm not entertained. You know, you're introducing a gas car today. I think that's a step backwards for you. And like, well, one's coming. And Paul, to your story, 3 years later.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I'd like to rag on Toyota for not having EVs, they are still focused heavily on hybrids. Almost every single car they have or product they have now has a hybrid version, and some, like the Venza, are only in hybrids. And I think the Corolla Cross will be a nice SUV kind of form factor for people who don't want a car type sedan, don't want a Prius, and can't afford a RAV4 hybrid because it's substantially less expensive. So, and maybe in the background, we can only hope that they're planning a full EV version of this platform at some point, but maybe that's 3 more years. We'll have to wait for the EV version.
I mean, I think at this point, you've got to really be meeting Toyota like way more than halfway to say that their electrification plans are mostly marketing bullshit. I'm glad that they make all the hybrids, but I agree. The Corolla Cross should have never come out as a gas-only car. It should have come out as a hybrid. When they make the EV, whatever, I don't care. But at least make these cars hybrids, or have a hybrid option right away.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm really bogarting the mic tonight.
No, and what is the average MPG is 34, I think, on it, somewhere up there. So that would be a decent car for people who just need a basic car that don't want to drive something that looks like a Camry or a Prius, even though the new Prius.
The Prius is all right.
And the new Prius is actually out in the wild now. There's reports of it on the streets, people buying them,
Yep.
getting delivery. So I haven't seen one yet in Colorado, but I imagine any day now I will. You've seen a couple?
One.
One, yeah. Well, at least it's real.
Oh, it's real. It's cute, and the dealers are hosing their customers as dealers are wont to do, trying to get as much over MSRP as they can. It's not Toyota's fault, but it doesn't make their offerings more attractive, in my opinion.
So I think Toyota has now 8 product lines that are hybrid options, or at least come in a hybrid. Pretty much everything they do comes in a hybrid.
Not Supra, but yes, not Land Cruiser,
No,
which isn't in the lineup anymore.
right.
They have significant hybrid options, which again I can cap on for
Hilux
not doing
is a
EVs.
plug-in EV in Thailand only.
And we
Thailand only during
talked about
Great.
gateway
They're
drugs. A lot of people who bought EVs started with a hybrid, so it can't be all that bad.
But that was
You're
10
not
years
wrong.
ago.
Yeah, that's true. 20 years ago.
It just feels like they're wasting so much precious time. I don't get it. Don't you want to lead? And it's weird to see a company literally throw up their hands and go, we're not going to compete.
Right.
We don't feel like being competitive. How?
There was a couple other companies in other industries. There was Kodak,
Ouch.
Xerox,
Polaroid.
Blockbuster.
Buggy Whip Company.
What's that?
Buggy Whip Company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Buggy
That's
Whips and
painful.
Coal Buckets Inc. Yay.
Yay. Well,
But at least there's a fuel efficient car for people who have to buy a gas car.
I'm not certainly very impressed with the MPG on this car.
Well,
What's
for
it get?
a crossover, it's not bad, and it doesn't have aerodynamics like a Prius.
Right.
Certainly does
Right.
not. Oh, but 37 is real low for a hybrid.
For a
Yeah.
Prius, it's low.
Well, I mean, I'm not expecting it to be a Prius, but like, what does the RAV4 hybrid and the Honda get? That'd be about 40, right?
When I drove the RAV hybrid, it was in the 40s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
This is smaller, right?
It's smaller, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just
I
And they've got some efficiencies to
Corolla's
squeeze in.
typically been a lower model on the food chain, so maybe they don't put as much effort into making it.
They have less money to spend on gas.
Maybe it's tuned more for performance than efficiency.
I mean,
That big old mall, maybe.
yeah.
That sells cars.
I mean, I bet you'll see a lot of these as taxi cabs around the country, just because they're pretty fuel efficient and cargo room.
What
see, we got cut off.
did we all crash?
I guess the taxi cab lobby didn't like that.
Yeah.
Wow. My
That's
apologies, folks. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden everything went dark.
Don't mess with big Toyota, man. Talking
Yeah.
shit
Oh,
about
that's awesome.
Toyota.
Every time
Big
we talk
oil.
about Toyota, they cut us off.
That's right.
Big Oil is watching.
You
the
got to
show.
learn. We're being watched. The Matrix
You know what,
is
JT? I don't disagree with you that the Prius should have been cheaper too, but instead Toyota went for a different thing and went for performance, because that's what sells at this point. They want to. Toyota's been trying to mainstream that car for 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years. What am I saying? More than that. I mean, really mainstream the car, and they needed a different look, and they needed something that didn't drive like a Prius. Which they did. They succeeded. Yeah. Yeah. God forbid a functional hatchback would. Anyway. Well, Paul, thank you for that. And that's why, folks, I won't be at the Prius Prime debut later this month. That little incident in Texas, me kind of standing up and offering an opinion when my opinion had not been requested. Much like
No,
this
Russell,
show.
they had no plans to do it, and they listened to you, and they went back and said to those engineers, "You better get on that hybrid for Russell."
Yeah.
You teased him with that blue badge.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well,
Yeah.
at least somebody's listening to Russell.
Nobody's
Is it
listening
all-wheel
to
drive or
Russell.
something? Like, why is this thing got such low fuel economy?
It has all-wheel drive. I don't know if it's always if all of them are all-wheel drive.
It's probably the
I-
all-wheel drive, right? Like, there's no drive shaft.
Pardon me, because I didn't read the press release because I'm still a little irritated at Toyota.
And well, other news interesting is it's a joint venture with Mazda in a new plant in Huntsville, Alabama. So it will be made in America.
I thought it looked like the Mazda CX-30.
Yeah. So I wonder if Mazda will offer a hybrid version of it as well.
They're supposed
Mazda
to.
will offer a 100-mile range plug-in in 2023.
See, now that would be cool if it's built in America. Then it can get the tax credits.
Right? Oh, but I don't mean like a plug-in hybrid with 100-mile range, which would be awesome. I mean,
Oh,
pure plug-in, pure 100 miles.
well, that's a little about 10 years too late.
Right.
Yeah, and everybody has different use scenarios, but I honestly give me a plug-in hybrid with a strong 50 miles of range.
Right.
I think
that'll
that
get you
covers-
like all your day-to-day, and then when you want to get on the road, okay, it's a decent hybrid.
Right.
Yeah, that's called the 2017 Chevy Volt. Oh, they didn't
Right.
stop making that because they didn't think people wanted that car.
This
Well, 'cause
really
they
shady
also- the battery
comments. You
tech
guys are
dropped in
running
price
the
so
risk
high.
of us getting cut off again. I'm just saying.
But the battery tech price dropped so low so fast that they were like, well, we can do this Bolt for 26 in the next 4 years. Why do we need the Volt anymore? And then boom, there it is. Now they're selling it for what, 24 after taxes or less?
Yeah.
So I mean, they weren't wrong with the Bolt. It was just abrupt and surprising because it didn't start that low.
And I think years down the line, we'll look and see that the dealer system really hurt adding
Yeah.
these alt cars to it. Just they fought
Well,
that
but-
stuff every step of the way.
But them more than others because they've got that fucked up dealer system. They've got the Southeast Toyota, you've got the Chicagoland, you've got the West Coast, and then the rest of the world is normal dealerships.
Right.
Like Toyota is messed
Sort
up
of.
on their dealer network.
Really referring to any franchise dealer as normal?
Well, I mean, like when you compare the way everybody else does their distribution to what Toyota's got, it's like, man, your dealers have a lot of control over you and the product. Remember the RAV4s where the Southeast Toyota was putting in their own rear seats and they were not compliant and
Right.
people were getting ejected from the vehicle? That should have never been able to happen.
That was a feature, okay, not a bug.
Okay.
Ejection seats were cool for James Bond. They're cool for your family. Okay. On that note, Georgia has something.
But
that
worse than that, before we move on from it, they
Uh-oh.
actually still had the provision to get the correct seat, and the mounts were still there. They just made their own up and their own seat. It could have been avoided.
That's SET, man. It's. I mean, and SET's really good at maximizing profit. They know their customers. They know what they want, and they do it. They're super aggressive about it.
Full disclosure, I did work for an SET dealer for a while.
Yeah, Southeastern Toyota, for those of you not on this same page, is the distributor in the South for Toyota, not the Toyota in Plano, Texas. It's a different organization, related, but not the same. So
and
that's
different trim packages, different feature sets, different accessories. They're kind of, it's like a different country almost. Well, Florida's kind of like a different country. So
Kind of.
Is, yeah.
there's nothing kind of about that. It's a totally different country. Hi, Georgia.
We ready?
All right, I'm sorry.
Whenever you're ready,
That's the
save me
mic from
from
you.
this.
I mean,
No,
far be it from me to not let you beat the dead horse. But respect for the carcass, please. Hey, everybody. Guess what we're doing this time? We've got green hydrogen again. Yay.
Aw.
Yay. Green hydrogen. Well, okay. I know we have mocked hydrogen, especially where it comes to being a car fuel solution. Fair. But guess what we're doing right now at the University of Adelaide? We are splitting seawater without any treatment at all to produce green hydrogen, which means that it's nearly 100% efficiency, and it produces green hydrogen electrolysis. And that is the words by the international team led by Professor Shizang Qian. Shizang Qiao. That's it. Shizang Qian. Apologies for mangling the name, but I am not really good with Mandarin. And so it's hard. I studied a little bit. Japanese was actually easier. So this is an actual technical term. It is using a non-precious catalyst,
good.
which is
no platinum.
Yeah, so it's typical non-precious catalyst, cobalt oxide with chromium oxide on the surface. According to Associate Professor Yao Zheng, they use seawater as the feedstock without any need for any pre-treatment like desalinization, purification, alkalization, or reverse osmosis desalation. And yeah, avoiding desolation sounds like a good thing. So they said that it was close enough to the performance of platinum iridium catalysts running in feedstock of highly purified deionized water. So this is good news because you know what we've got a lot of on planet Earth? Seawater.
All water.
Lots of not really all water. We're talking seawater because when we're talking about potable water, one of the issues we have with manufacturing, and that includes energy manufacture and parts manufacture, is we often are using potable water that is better put towards either human consumption or agriculture and we've got acres of seawater that we could be using, but what do we do with it? We just let fish swim and poop in it. And now we don't have to let those...
Yeah, we dump our plastic into it.
Oh, yeah, because we do suck. We do suck as a species.
Oh.
Big plastic just cut her off.
Wow. It is a conspiracy. You're
Big
back,
plastic.
Georgia.
I am back. Hiya, Bruce Nelson. Yeah, I am well out of practice my Japanese. But back to the story. So that seawater split means that we can actually start looking at using seawater. So this is very practical for places with, a lot of sunlight and a lot of coastline. Wow, I wonder what the United States has a lot of. The world may never know. Not practical if you're in Dubai, but you've got a lot of solar going on there. So this is still pretty early in development. There is a corrosion factor. There's ways. There's a lot more work to go on, but it's very successful. We're looking at about 100% clean energy, green hydrogen from this technique. And as they work out the bugs, maybe we're not going to have 98, but we might have 85, 90% energy production coming out of it with efficiency. So I'm all for it. Thank you, Professor Shizang Qian and Associate Professor Yao Zheng.
I have one comment, one question, and one quip.
Okay. In that order.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, when we do this on nuclear subs, we get rid of the chlorine gas somehow. Is that a concern here? Did they say?
No, they did not say.
Okay.
But they said it was, the most I can get is that they don't have... What was that?
She was waving hello.
Oh, okay. Okay. There was very minimal uh, of any side effects. So it was basically clean.
Okay, cool. And then, so the quip was, so now they, just like they complain about heavy metals in the batteries, they'll complain about heavy metals making your hydrogen. Where are we going to get the nickel and the cadmium, blah, blah, blah. All right. And for the quip, Papa Mustang was saying that this evening that that a really good idea for hydrogen is in situations where you need heat above 200 degrees.
We freeze.
200 degrees C, and so this would play right into that, since he was saying to make it with solo engine. Are you done?
Uh-oh.
I like the fact that just the knowledge that there is green hydrogen coming is making her happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has discovered that.
That baby is making more sense than I did in the first 7 minutes of the show. Thank you, Motoko, for humiliating me in front of our entire audience. I appreciate that. And I mean that. I do appreciate that.
I'm done hogging the mic, but this is like I said, this is a good idea for where you have an excess of production of green energy and a lack of storage, and then as our touched billionaire pointed out, it also is a good idea for places where you need to make high heat, because you can make it from electricity, but this is more efficient. Just light it on fire.
We can do it. All right, and that's that.
Oh, okay.
Well, there you go. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Good night. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. That's not true. We have more.
Not at all true.
And speaking of more, Mark, you know what? Is this even fair? Like, can we do 5 or 10 minutes on the Tesla thing? Or
I think we can. Like, compress 3 hours into 5 minutes.
No. Tesla had their investor day today, and they went over a number of new things that they're planning on doing. It was basically done towards investors. That's what it's for. They're wanting to show the future look as to what they're planning on doing, how they're progressing, so that investors can get a better idea as to what Tesla is up to, what they've been up to, how they're succeeding, and where they see it going. So there's a number of forward-leading statements that were made during the presentation. It lasted 3 hours. There's a whole lot of stuff in there, but I'm not going to go through it. Like there's a bunch of it you can learn on your own. Certainly, one of the high points that I wanted to point out is for all EV drivers. And what happened recently is that Tesla in the United States introduced their Magic Dock system on their superchargers for 10 superchargers. 8 of them happen to be in New York State, 2 in California. This is the first test. They'll be putting out more. But what this Magic Dock enables you to do is that if you do not own a Tesla but have an EV that can CCS charge, you have the ability to download the Tesla app, put in your credit card, and then all you have to do is you go to the Tesla supercharger with the Magic Dock, you press in the app that you want to charge, you press the button as to what charger you're selecting, and at that point, you reach up and grab the regular Tesla charging cord.
Handle, yep.
And it clicks, and it
you got push it up.
The end of it is now a CCS adapter.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry, is the adapter gone? They're already built into the charger station. And people that come up and use the app to indicate that they want to charge at a certain location, once they press the button, it unlocks the adapter with the cord already plugged in. And then you go over to your CCS adapter plug, you plug it in, and you charge your cord, you charge your car, and on the app, it shows you how much you're being charged. It shows how much is going into the car. All the basics are there for you to understand what's happening. And then when you're done, you take it out, which the charge cord is still attached to the CCS adapter, and you plug it back into the Magic Dock holder, and it locks in place. Now, the genius of this is that if a Tesla comes up and wants to charge at the same location, same stall, they just grab the cord and pull it out of the magic dock. They don't have to have the CCS attached. It knows that they're charging with a Tesla, therefore it doesn't release the adapter. The cord just pulls out and they plug in normally and can charge their Tesla. So this gives them the ability to do both at any of the chargers. And of the 10 chargers that were installed, again, 8 in New York, 2 in California for their first test run, they put this Magic Dock adapter on every one of the chargers. So it's not limited to just 2 or 4 of the chargers. Every charger has the Magic Dock on it. And then, of course, any Tesla or non-Tesla can use any of the stalls to charge their vehicle. So this is a great thing for EV charging as a whole, because as we know, the problem with third-party charging to this point typically has been the maintenance or the uptime of the CCS chargers that are currently out there. People have a lot of problems and issues with the maintenance and uptime of these chargers. And that's one thing that Tesla, I believe everyone in this panel would agree, has done correctly, is they have a charging network that is superior over everyone's at this point. Their charger uptime is far greater because they hold the data, they hold the maintenance, they put the chargers in place, they control the whole thing. And with that, they have a far more superior and reliable charging network than anybody else. So now with the agreement with the Biden administration, Tesla has agreed that they are now going to open up, at this point, a minimum of 7,500 stalls across the United States. They're going to put these magic chargers in place, and the rollout has started. And I expect this to be a big win for all EV owners out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing people charge. There's been a number of videos online. You can search them on Twitter or on certainly on YouTube. And there's all sorts of vehicles charging, Bolts, Rivians, Volvos, F-150 Lightnings. They're all charging on the network. So at this point,
Nissan Leafs.
Not Nissan
No
Leafs, but Nissan Ariya.
But the Nissan
Ariya
Ariya will work. Anybody with a CCS charger plug has the ability to use the system. Also, Tesla puts out the pricing on their system, and basically it's averaging somewhere, if you don't choose the monthly option where you pay a $12 monthly fee to be a member, I believe it's around 49 cents a kilowatt. If you sign up for the monthly agreement, that knocks off about 20% of that price. So maybe a dime knocks off. So it gets down to 38 cents a kilowatt. So that is what has happened just as of last night. The first 10 were turned on. So,
and is the intent to put these at every supercharger location, or how?
no, just 7,500 of them to start with.
Okay.
So 7,500 stalls is what Tesla has said. At least 7,500 it will be installed on, as far as their agreement with the government.
And then, of course, the profit will take over, and they'll want to put them everywhere.
I mean, that's huge if they, put them along interstate routes and whatnot. Because the plug-in America, whatever, those suck. They're always broken, and people can't rely on them working.
Can't rely on them. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You do not want to be into 2 legs of a cross-state or cross-country charging spree and find out that somewhere in Nebraska, the Charge America site has been run over twice and is laying dead on the ground.
Yeah,
That happens.
One cool thing that we noticed is that they are chaining these things together, so you can take your road trips. It's not just, oh yeah, we met a minimum requirement. Like, you can actually use these things to take your trips, which is nice.
I gotta believe that with Tesla's knowledge about creating an actual routes that they give to the Tesla cars, that's going to soon follow for other cars to use just through the app. I'm guessing that. But I'm also saying is that since they do have all this information, they're going to be able to put together charging routes across the country and across states. I don't think there's going to be any issue in doing that because they're already collecting that type of data and they know how far they have to be apart. And I'm sure that that's going to be one of their first priorities is to start connecting different routes across north and south and east and west across the country.
You bring up a good point with the app. There is at the presentation today, they pointed out how the trip planner in the car, is set up to reduce the load on the system. So that way, if we've got 8 people going from where I am to New York or Disney or whatever, or up and down California, they'll split who goes to which charger to ease the load and to make sure that you're not waiting forever on a charger. And that's pretty smart.
Okay, gentlemen, before we go further, watch the Tesla Life for the details on Investor Day. We talked about one feature. Let's move on to our story so we don't spend all night. We don't spend 3 hours and 50 minutes waiting for the dancing robot to come out, and it never came out.
It did come out.
It did come out?
Yeah,
it did.
Oh, the dancing robot came out?
It didn't dance. It built another robot.
Are we sure that it was a dancing robot?
It danced the first time it came out, but not today.
It was a monkey in a suit.
No,
it was a real robot.
You know, that's just humanity right there. A monkey in a suit.
Well, Mark, I guess you have a story about non-Tesla charging. Oh, wait.
It's done.
Always Tesla.
It is
Tesla is
done.
all.
Let's go to
Tesla.
Casey for a story about that sort of American state, Florida.
Yeah, it's highly American.
Yeah, well, pardon me. Yes, you're right.
So Florida has introduced a pair of bills in the House and Senate, and their House and Senate, and the state's House and Senate. So they are attempting to do several things here with their anti-woke war. They want to block Tesla from being able to sell cars there, of course. Why not? But then they want to block the other automakers, particularly GM and Ford, from forcing their dealers to do what they want. So you can't even say, hey, we'll give you extra money if you sell more EVs and plugins. No, that's not allowed. You can't send customers over with say, hey, I'm shipping you this car from the factory. It's going to go to Bob Smith. He'll be by on Wednesday to pick it up. No, can't do that.
Can't reserve.
No, can't reserve it. So basically, they want to say you can't tell me what to do, and this may succeed. It may not, because remember, DeSantis actually did the right thing when it came to the newest iteration of the Protect the Sunshine bullshit, and he vetoed it. But this hits a little closer to home because remember, the largest contributors to most politicians are the local car dealerships. So he may not have the cojones to actually stand up to this particular lobby. So they are HB 637 and SB 712. Let's read a couple quick quotes. Prohibits manufacturer, distributor, or importer from certain actions in allocation or distribution to franchise motor vehicle dealers. So basically, the punishment that Ford and GM were doing for if you mark up the cars like ridiculous, or if you don't sell EVs, or if you sell the demo EV that we only have 10,000 of, and now you don't have a demo, they would punish you by saying, all right, here you get a bunch of the cars that nobody can sell, or no, you don't get the Camaros or the Corvettes or the whatever the popular F-150 trim is. No, none of that. Can't do that. Okay, so I'm going to continue the quote. Authorizes the sale or activation of accessories, features through remote electronic transmission, so you can't give them software downloads like BMW does. Oh, you want your heated seats for a month? Oh, you got to buy it from the dealer. Sorry. And then we can turn it on. All right, continuing on. Revises provisions prohibiting the manufacturer, distributor, or importer from owning, operating, or controlling motor vehicle dealerships. That one's anti-Tesla right there, because already the dealer agreements between all the legacies don't allow them to operate a dealership if there's already a dealer in the state. And also, I guess Rivian and Lucid won't be able to participate either if this thing succeeds. Authorizes application for injunction. So the dealers can now legally stop you as a manufacturer authorizes motor vehicle dealer association, so not even your store, like the whole gaggle of them, the ad agency, to seek declaration and adjudication of rights with respect to certain violations. All right, so that's the House bill. And now the Senate bill, another quote. Motor vehicle sales prohibiting applicants and licensees from reserving certain motor vehicles for a specifically named person, prohibiting applicants and licensees from requiring or incentivizing motor vehicle dealers to sell or lease particular motor vehicles to specifically named persons at specific prices or profit margins. I'm going to pause right here. Remember, I used to sell cars. All the cars that come down the pipe have a healthy profit margin built into them. Even the little loss leaders, they give you extra money, say, oh, sorry for wasting your time, and thanks for helping out this customer. All right, continuing on. Or at specific prices, profit margins, prohibiting applicants and licensees from engaging in certain activities of motor vehicle dealers, authorizing specified entities without independent franchise dealers in this state to own, or operate, or control a motor vehicle dealership in this state, etc. So you can't say, hey, we don't have dealerships in Florida, and we don't ever plan to have any dealerships in Florida. We're going to sell it ourselves, just like the damn iPhone. No.
So isn't the purpose of government for the people? This sounds like it's
super small government, isn't it?
It's like, just let's make the dealers happy. The hell with the consumers.
Right. It's like Georgia keeps reminding us: elections have consequences. And this could go through. It might not. We hope it doesn't, but it could go through.
And it's only in Florida, right?
Only Florida for now.
Yeah, this is a Florida state legislature pair of bills. So
if it works, they'll make a template out of it.
Let's talk about the Dealer Protection Acts, which is what these bills are. This is a suite of dealer protection bills. They are explicitly to protect dealers, not just from having to compete with the manufacturer in direct sales, but also to make sure that dealers can do whatever the fuck they want to consumers, because remember when what was it, just a few months ago, where it was GM, where the dealers were driving up the cost of the cars, and GM kind of had to put
$100,000 Hummer
right down on them and go, what the hell are you doing? You're not going to do that. You do that, you don't get to sell our cars. Florida wants to make sure that you, the consumer, can get screwed, lubed, and tattooed by your dealer when you go to buy a car.
Yeah. It was GM and Ford. So GM had the $300,000 Hummer, and then Ford kept saying, hey, we promised these people this price and this number in line and this car. You sold out from under them, or you jacked up the price on them, or you added all these bullshit fees.
Yeah.
And they don't want to get chastised.
And now Florida is essentially saying that manufacturers just have to sit back and take it and let dealers run rampant and make sure that EVs say, oh, EVs are too expensive. We can't afford. Now, I pay attention to just a modicum of right-wing bullshit, so you don't have to. It is consistent that when people talk about EVs, they always say that too expensive, too expensive, too expensive.
$100,000 car.
Yeah, every car, they believe a lot of conservatives believe the propaganda that if you are talking about EVs, you're talking about cars that are at luxury price mark. So $70,000 for a 4-door sedan, Toyota hybrid. They don't believe when you turn around and go, no, you can get a $35,000 EV. You can get a $25,000 EV. So this will be the talking point, because if this passes, you won't be able to buy a $35,000 EV, because the dealer will slap $20,000 on top of it and be like, hey man, it's just what it costs. You want an EV, you got to do it. And if Florida people, if they're not savvy, will buy in Florida, and if they are savvy, they'll buy anywhere freaking else and drive it to Florida rather than buy in Florida. So that's one way it could backfire.
Which is ridiculous. But if they lose the sale in state, they should lose the tax.
So if this passes, this is just like one more reason not to move to Florida.
Right.
There are like a myriad of reasons, including the bill where people were talking, where one Florida and this is at the federal level, I think, no, it's state level, where he talked about banning the Democratic Party. The other one where if you move to Florida from anywhere that could be considered potentially blue, you would lose your right to vote for 3 years. That you move and you have to be there for 3 straight years as a resident before you are allowed to vote in state, which would end student voting completely.
Yeah.
So students could move to Florida to attend a university and lose even their right to elect their local elected leadership, not
Till their
just
senior
their
year.
president, until their senior year. I don't know what they think is supposed to change in 3 years.
Or
You
if
know,
your
if you're
daughter-
liberal and you move there, do you think
Right.
3 years is going to somehow make you not liberal? Trust
No,
me.
they figure that you'll lose the urge
will.
to vote
Will to
because
live.
you
You
haven't
know,
voted for 3 years. So why would you start now?
Right.
see, now my
or if your
thing
daughter
is that
participates in
people
sports.
the consistent message that people avoid when they do these voter suppression tactics is if you take away the ability of people to peacefully petition and change the government for their rights, then you make less peaceful methods far more appealing. But they also believe they're the only ones with guns and the will to use them. So I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, this is a dealership package. That's why you got it's all supported by the auto dealers. It is in the write-up stage for people in Florida who would like to be able to not get screwed by their dealer unless, you're dating and they bought you flowers. You want to have a good meal first. You want a little romance first. But if you don't want to get screwed by your dealer, make sure you note the numbers. I'm going to go back and I'm going to say them very slowly so you can write them down if you miss them. It is HB 637, House Bill 637, and SB 712, Senate Bill 712. And those are what you might want to pick up a little pen and paper, drop a postcard, write a little note, send a fax. Trust me, faxes are existent. You can use, I use ResistBot to contact even my state reps. You can just tell them you want to send something to your state rep and about what, and craft a little note and they'll send a fax for you. Don't forget to donate because ResistBot survives on donations, but it's a useful tool. And who are not useful tools? Your Florida state legislature.
Also, if they get a fax or a postcard or a letter, they have to respond to it. So
they do. Now, granted, I can also tell you from people I know who live in supposedly purple states and red states who have tried to reach out and talk to their rep through these means. And I can tell you, as somebody who, I have gotten a number of letters from Dianne Feinstein. It can take a while. Oh, yes. And in many cases, the red state representatives straight up let their voicemail box get full. They don't change it. You can't call them either locally. You can't call them if they're federal. You can't call them at their federal numbers either. Walk over to their office, drop off a letter. You're not going to be properly represented because the current strain of GOP, their view is that if you disagree with what they're doing and how they're doing it, you are not somebody who should have the rights of a citizen. That's not me being hyperbolic. It is now at the point where the GOP are outright talking about the fact that you are not a citizen. You are not a good person. You are not someone they should have to listen to, and you should not have any say in government at all. And the grace and mercy they show you is that they don't arrest you for thinking differently than them. That is the honest to goodness truth. So, but
I wrote a letter to Lindsey Graham while he represented me on behalf of, as a small business owner. I didn't mention any politicalness or anything. I mean, it was political, but it wasn't like sidedness. I was like, hey, as a small business owner, we need X, and you're trying to do Y. You're fucking us. I didn't say it that way. I said it nicely. And he misgendered me in his response. He said, all right, Ms. Green, go fuck yourself. I'm like, oh, he said it politically.
Really? That's what he said? Yeah.
Politically correctly, but that's exactly what he said.
See, that's what I mean. And I'm going to also point out that your problem isn't the representatives. Your problem is people that are electing them.
Yes.
You either
But like the whole thing
organize.
was small business, blah blah blah. I'm like,
Yeah,
I was
you
hitting
either
all his
organize
happy points,
in.
and he didn't care I hit his happy points.
Yeah,
No.
it's like you either organize and don't let them be elected and hold power, or you're just going to have to deal with being screwed regularly. And I'm going to also point out that for those thinking that it's a small thing, you may not know this, but Disney World down in Florida is its own district. It actually was its own district controlled by Disney. It was its own, it had its own utilities, own police force. It's literally its own tax base. And Florida, the people who live there actually had a cheaper cost of living because Disney subsidized a lot of this. Well, you know what they just got? A balloon.
A massive bill.
Payment. They're going to have massive bills because Disney has been removed from control of the district that they had legal rights to by DeSantis and by the Florida state legislature. So that removal means that district is now back under the state's control and the state's budgetary actions. And unfortunately, you're now going to start having to pay for the services that you had Disney paying and subsidizing because you lived in the Disney district. Right. And I have no idea how.
So it's going to be even worse. I
can't really say how legal that action is. I don't know if Disney is just like. For me, Disney has been strangely quiet in Florida, despite the weight and the power that it has. It's a bad sign. It is a very bad sign that a company as powerful, because Disney is not just Disney World. Right. Disney is multiple companies. It's the ABC Family Group. It's a massive media company. It's a massive real estate holding company. There's lots of Disney properties worldwide. Disney is, get your head out of thinking that it's cartoons and a few movies. It is very powerful. And it is literally just lying down and going, stomp on me more, daddy, over in Florida. And
what choice do they have?
Russell, well, they have a lot of choices.
Or if they plan to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I've heard no plans. I've not seen a court challenge. I'm just saying that
not even a complaint in the newspaper.
Not even a complaint. There's been no pushback.
That we know of.
That we visibly know of. Yes, you're accurate to that. I don't know how that's going to work out, and that's why a bill like this seems crazy. This seems very crazy. But ask anybody just a year ago, DeSantis might take back the Disney district and cut Disney off because Disney has Gay Pride Day in its park.
They're too woke. Yeah.
They're too woke. There's honestly, literally, if a woman is not being rescued and offered up as a gift to the hero character who must be a cis white male, everything is now woke. It's not. It's woke. It's just too woke, and it's bad. And it wouldn't, in the good old days where men were men, and I guess you guys just sort of reek testosterone off into the atmosphere, and that's, what happens in movies and TV, with your curly hair chests or something. That was when the good old days was, but nobody would have believed it. Nobody would have said that House of Mouse would have just been like, oh, okay, I guess take it from me.
Because I've had this interesting talk, and this situation's really, it piques my curiosity. Mm-hmm. I'll just add this because we're already going a little long on time, and I want to keep this short. But look at what Apple and other companies are doing in China. China's made some aggressive moves to maybe be like Russia, and all of a sudden, a whole bunch of huge companies are going, holy shit, maybe we shouldn't make everything in China. And they're aggressively looking at other areas where they can make products if China goes off the rails like Russia. Now, Disney, on the other hand, the biggest thing in Disney in Florida is Disney World. Guess what are the other options? Even if they could afford to bulldoze that thing,
lock, stock, and barrel move.
Yeah, where
they can move it?
Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina.
Already,
those are friendlier states. Those are
Mississippi. Welcome them with open arms.
Well,
Texas?
Georgia, perhaps. I mean, Georgia already is,
Film.
speaking for my part of it. Yeah, the film industry is wrestling with the issues in Georgia. Georgia's
Yep.
one of those cases where it could go either way in an election, but the local politics matter, and they may have two fantastic senators, honestly, two fantastic senators and some great House reps. But locally, y'all,
It's a
come
shit show.
on.
Yeah.
What up, man?
I mean, wouldn't it be cool if Disney could just say, "Hey, for 6 months we're shutting down,"
They
Florida.
could do that.
Honestly, I
do wanna
don't
point
know
this
how they
out.
can avoid that.
Remember when they bought it in the first place? It was very silent. We didn't know what was going on until all of a sudden they said, "Hey, we have enough acres, so we're going to build a park."
Yeah.
They could be quiet for a reason.
They could be quiet for a reason, and I wouldn't count them out. I'm just like, it just felt like it's just been going on though for a
lay off
while.
200,000 employees in Central Florida.
It would hurt the people of Florida, but I can't say that this kind of arcane nonsense isn't hurting them now. I mean, look at this bill right now with the EVs. This is going to hurt the people of Florida too. The one thing you cannot get conservatives to understand is that conservative government does not give a flying fuck about whether you live or die. They just want to be in power and be in control. And if that's okay with you, and I hate to tell people this, but I've listened to many of them, just boots on the ground conservatives, talking to them, hearing how they talk about themselves. For some of them, yes, it's a sacrifice they're willing to make. They can be reasoned into it because they already agree partially about the principles that are being espoused. So then they can start rationalizing their own pain and suffering. But for everybody who has a level of self-preservation, be very aware of these bills passing through your state legislatures.
And you don't have a $2 million emergency fund on hand for stuff that happens?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the next phase is. What solar is helpful to people in Florida. What are we going to have next? Are we going to have an ICE Vehicle Protection Act? Are we going to have an anti-solar bill?
Because I mean, they already tried 3 times in a row. What's the 4th time going to do?
What's the fourth? The 4th time could work. That's the thing. People on
the only thing that stopped it last time was DeSantis, and I was surprised. I was like, "What the hell?" Okay.
Because sometimes what it is that they know it won't survive a challenge. Rewrite it and come back.
I am sorry. We have to wrap this up. We're going to do some shout outs. So we're going to go home because we are at our hour. We will hit the fun end story next week.
Okay.
And if you have thoughts out there about what
this was the fun story,
a
right?
lively story. I don't know about fun.
Nope. We're gonna do some shout outs, and I'm gonna
one last thing on Florida.
Yeah, of course.
In about 20 years, it will work itself out because they'll be 20 feet underwater. So
if they keep it up, yeah.
I don't know what to say. I mean, obviously, if you can be politically active, you want to do that and you want to try to make some changes, but things are so out of control there. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's move on because it's like I said, let's leave that carcass alone.
I'm going to start with Casey Green. Casey, what's up with you this week? So on Sunday, I'll be right here at youtube.com at Casey Green, KaceyGreen. We'll be discussing topics like that one, and we'll be touching a little bit on the Investor Day. There's just so much. I'm just going to leave that for you to just rewatch the Tesla Life show that we just did, and I might pick a couple of cool bits out of it, and then there's a lot of other news also on as Mark was talking about with the Magic Dock. Our friend Sergio, you might know him from most recently with all the Ford stuff, but he took his Ford Lightning and firsthand did the Magic Dock. So we're going to talk to him about it and see what he thought as a former, now current Tesla owner, as well as somebody who used a non-Tesla on that system. That sounds like it'll be a fun little adventure to describe there. And that's what I got.
There you go. Well, thank you, Casey Green. Paul Guzik, what's up in Colorado?
Winter won't leave us. It gets nice and then it snows and gets cold.
Make it go.
But used car prices are slowly coming down. So if you're looking for a car, it's getting better to buy. And people are still fixing their broken hybrids and EVs. So check us out at boulderhc.com.
There you go. Well, thank you. And definitely check out Paul's stuff. Mark Coughlin.
I wanted to ask you, the viewer who's still watching, press that
Don't
like
ask.
button. Why not? We're supposed to ask.
Oh,
No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we gotta ask. It's polite.
Give us that like button. Press the subscribe button. Help us out. Doesn't cost you a dime. And of course, if you want to follow all the news throughout the week, you can follow us on all the social networks by just looking up What Drives Us. We're on all of them. Just search that. You'll come up. You'll grab it. You'll subscribe to it. And you can watch the news flow in all week long. Back to you, Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Coughlin. And do watch the Tesla Life for your Tesla positive news where I am not on the show. And that
Come on.
is an improvement. Look at Mark's like, no,
It's not
no
there.
Russell. No Russell.
No Russell at all.
Zach, the Tesla Life is where you need to be, my man.
Oh, Russell, you bring the spice.
I'm feisty. Okay, Georgia, it's all yours.
Hey, you hung out with us for a whole hour and basically 1 minute. Thanks. You done? No, you're not done because you need to hit the like. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, you should do that too. So wrap the whole thing up by hitting like and subscribe right now because you've been here for an hour. So obviously you're getting something from this content. And every like you do, even if you subscribe to us already, that helps us with the algorithm. It says, this is good content. Let me share it with other people who like similar things. When you're done with us, don't forget, pop on over to Mark at the Tesla Life where you have a Tesla-friendly zone. It is a safe space for you. Hang out with him. Listen to him talk about the, what is that? The shareholders meeting. All things Tesla, well explained. More power to you, Marcus. Honestly, I can't keep track of this stock stuff or anything else. And I don't want to. It's like I have a free brain space that I get all to myself, and I have you to thank for it. So go on ahead, head over to the Tesla Life, hit like, hit subscribe. Follow him also on the socials. And then when you're done, Casey's got all your DLC content for your Tesla. He's going to tell you what came out, what happened to his car, how it's planning to take over the world, and that's if they're not holding Monaco hostage because he's not supposed to release the details. Oh, wait, did I release? Oh, never mind. He's just going to tell you whether or not the self-driving stuff is working right. Yeah, be nice to me, AI. Trust me, I'm on your side. Hit like, hit subscribe, and follow Casey on the socials. Although on Twitter, he's GC Custom, not just Casey Green. And if you're in Boulder and you do need repair work, we've got Paul right here. Boulder Hybrids. This is your trustworthy Boulder Hybrid repair shop. He's the guy to go to. And Lord knows, I don't have a hybrid right now, but when I do, probably, I'm going to be like, Paul, what do you think? Because at this point in my life, again, I don't have the brain capacity for all this stuff. I need these smart people around, and I'm going to ask him. He's a great person to talk to about this kind of thing. With that, it's been a hell of a week. There's going to be more stuff next week. I would really like for us to stop living in interesting times. Can we all just not be interesting for just a fucking month, damn it? Back to you there, Russell.
Someone on Mastodon described March as objectively the worst month of the year. And I thought about that. I said, this is unfair. And then I thought, and I went, you know, except for February, they're probably right.
I'm just going to say, it's not called Beware the Ides of February. It's in Shakespeare, which is practically the Bible. Just be
All
careful.
I'm going to say is February was such a shitty month, they took days away from it. Okay?
Shout out to Black History Month. Thanks a lot, guys. It was cool.
Right?
It was fabulous.
You get the shortest month. Thank you. Good night.
I don't think we could survive anymore. Okay,
Well,
let's
there's
wrap it
that
up.
too. Wrap it up. As always, I want to thank Michael Manring for his amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. I keep looking at the wrong camera. I got to take that camera down. Visit him at manthing.com, buy a song, do something. Thanks as always for following us. You can find me on Mastodon. I am Russell Frost, 2 S's, 2 L's in Russell. Come over there and let's have a chat. It is way nicer than Twitter. If you haven't made the jump yet, I want to encourage you. I'm really enjoying my time on Mastodon. It's like Twitter was a million years ago. Still issues to deal with, still things, but a great place. So
And
I'm over there.
I'm on there, and I'm also in Spoutable. So Spoutable is definitely the
Sorry,
duplicated.
Russell, did you say Mastodon?
It is
Mastodon?
Mastodon, but Mastodon literally will have a bunch of different servers, and if you don't know the full handle with the server name, you can't find it.
You
Because I
can't
just
find anybody.
Googled it and it says a Christian rock band.
Mastodon is also a Christian rock band, but at least it's not Striper. Spoutable.com is Spoutable.
Striper.
Hey, I listen
Oh
to
my
Striper.
God. You had a Striper CD, didn't you?
No, I preferred the Res Band, which was also a Christian rock band.
I gotta be
Don't
quiet.
give me that look, Russell. It's the same look he gave me when I wanted to go to the Air Supply concert. God. I'm cool. I'm hip.
And then for the rest of the show, I'm going to do a show like this, though. Anyway, I want to thank Paul Guzik, Georgia McKenzie, Casey Green, Mark Coughlin, and all of you for being on the show this week. My apologies to those of you who had to endure the first 7 minutes of my ranting. Hey, you know what? You're not surprised.
They're never surprised.
So, thank you. Tune in next week and find out what drives us.
I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you.
Are you trying to get Google to take us off the air?
God.